Good evening, and welcome to the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Joy Lynn, and I am a licensed spiritual practitioner. Welcome to our online folks and to our new people. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and you are welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I swept the hearth and lit the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before you. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. Ernest Holmes, 1926. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you this evening for our sacred time together. Those of you joining online, please say something in the chat feed and let us know you're here and where you're joining from. We are blessed by your presence. Please join me throughout this week for Spirit Calling each morning at 9 a.m. for an inspirational message and an affirmation via text each evening. Our theme today is Loving the Darkness as we continue our series of Season of Light. Please join me in saying our mission statement. It's on the screen right behind us. We are love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. Let us begin today's precious and divine time together in prayer. So I invite you to bring your attention to your heart space. Knowing that we are called here by divine appointment, that there is only one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, and that life is now. We bring our minds, hearts, souls, psyches, emotions, energetics with us. All are welcome. We embrace every ounce and aspect of each of our humanness, knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human experience in this moment. We love the darkness, the light, the peace, the joy of each one of us. And so as we come together on this night to pray and be with each other, I say thank you and bless our time together moving forward. Please anchor this with me by saying, and so it is.
Good evening. We are going to do a little special candle lighting time this evening because we are right in the heart of our season of light, and there are two very special holidays going on this week. First being Hanukkah, which today is the first day of Hanukkah, and in 3 days is winter solstice. So our beloved Dino has written some beautiful words honoring these two holidays. So we'll hear from him now.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to present this evening's sacred reading. Neither you nor I can transform the night into the morning light, yet we trust in the light of day as we have come to trust in the light of a living spirit. Night turns into morning from the darkness it knows so well. We have always trusted in the light of the winter sun, the solstice, the stars, and the moon at night. We are never without the light of the menorah, reminding us of the temple we hold so dear. The one day's worth of oil miraculously lasted 8. We know of plenty, just as we know the generosity of a loving spirit. Those of varied beliefs, faiths, philosophies, and religions all await the break of dawn. As day falls into evening, I leave the porch light on, reminded of the weary traveler, and keep a candle burning for those in my daily prayer. Each night, I turn down the Venetian blinds covering my bedroom window and light the lamp next to my bed while I read. I leave a light on for my kitty cat Junior, even though he reminds me how silly I am thinking he can't see in the dark. This season of light is ultimately about the light of spirit that resides within each of us. We are the light of day, the beloved, the holy, and the anointed ones, those that carry the torch of light into the temple. The enchanted light that is spirit is not without us. We are the light of the divine. We are the stars at night that keep company with the moon as we sleep, never, ever alone. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, Dino. Never alone. So first we are going to light the menorah in honor of the rich wisdom and meaning that Hanukkah represents. We are lighting the first candle for the first day. Joylyn, would you light the solstice candle? We are now lighting a candle in honor of winter solstice, of the day of the most darkness and all of the rich meaning and wisdom that solstice represents. And now we would like to invite anyone who would like to come up and light their own candle on the altar to come up and do so now. Down the center aisle, if you would. You can light a candle in honor of any of these holidays or to represent any prayer that is on your heart today. And if you would like to speak your prayer aloud, there's a microphone there to my left. You can speak your prayer into the room.
We have a prayer request that Tammy Duggan is perfect health.
Prayer request for Josh and Becky McAllister and their children and the new baby soon, very soon to come.
For Pat Morrison,
We lit a candle for Erica and Adam Koplo for health and abundance. Candle for Lori and Ruth.
Thank you. And so as we take this light into our week, we know that as we are walking through each and every day, that we remember this time together right now and right here. We walk towards the light with spirit, knowing that we are not alone, knowing there is always a glow or a candle or a light from within to lead the way. Knowing that every single heart's desire, whether spoken or unspoken in this moment, is already in the mind of the divine. It has begun to come to fruition already. Knowing this to be the truth, that in this week of holiness, this week of sacredness, this week of love and peace and joy, that our hearts are bonded together. And I invite you to anchor this with me by saying, and so it is.
Now we are going to move into our meditation time. So we're going to play a song, and this song has a magic power ability to just align you with the frequency of nature and the divine. So as you listen to this song, I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable and just allow it to wash over you like a lullaby.
The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away your fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, nurture you. Oh, the power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away your fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, nurture you. Power of now, power of you, is here to create magic. Power of love is here now. Power of now, power of you, is here to create magic.
You, darkness of whom I'm born, I love you more than the flame that limits the world to the circle it illuminates and excludes all the rest. But the dark embraces everything, shapes and shadows, creatures and me, people, nations, just as they are. It lets me imagine a great presence stirring beside me. I believe in the night. It's Rilke from the Book of Hours. And I love, 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 love this invitation to allow the night, to allow the dark, to include all of us, to include all of your wholeness, all of your story, all of your feelings, all of your experiences. It can include it all. The dark is good at that. The night is good at that. And as we move into this week where we're celebrating Hanukkah and solstice, I'm just really loving the both of them sort of together as we begin to move towards the longest dark night of the year. And allowing ourselves to be fully held in that with the same kind of faith, right? The same kind of faith in the miraculous possibilities, like the oil lasting for 8 days. Like we get to bring those two ideas together. But my favorite thing about Hanukkah is the attendant candle called the shamash. which I may be saying completely wrong, but the attendant candle. It's the candle you use to light the other candles, right? And normally when I preach on this, I preach about just be the attendant, like be the candle, light other people's candles. This is not rocket science. But really, when I was thinking about it in the context of solstice, in the context of this long night, this long dark, I was thinking more about what if the night itself, as Rilke describes in the poem, was my attendant candle? What if it's the night itself that actually allows me to shine? What if we each decided this week as we approach the longest night of the year that the night itself will be the thing that helps us remember, that helps us come back to our wholeness, knowing that every single piece and aspect of us, the ones that we put up on the shelf, the ones that we hide, the ones that we, get unconscious around that we don't want people to see, and then it ends up coming out sideways and they see all of it. All of that gets to be held on this long night. And it's in that willingness to love the night because it can hold all of you, right? The shadows, all the creatures, all the shapes, all the nations, all the people. And so I think about when we talk a lot about in spiritual communities, we talk about, the shine and the light of the candle, the light of the day, the light of the sun, the light of 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 the light. But one of the beautiful gifts of this season is the dark. The dark that allows us so many more possibilities, and I think that's what Rilke was speaking to. I believe in the night because it leaves nothing out. It leaves absolutely nothing out, which means it's another way to think about the love of the Holy Blessed One, yes? That whatever you would like to keep in the dark, whatever you would like to have people maybe not look too closely at, maybe let's not put that under spotlight. The night is like, I got you. Bring it all. Bring all of it. And solstice is like, not only bring all of it, but let's spend some real time with it. That is the invitation of this moment. That is the beauty of the long nights. It's a gentle welcome. And one of the things I was pondering in this, and I'm going to be in mantra with that last line of Rilke's poem for a while, like, I believe in the night. Because one of the things that I was contemplating as I was preparing for tonight, I was thinking about why is this season hard for so many? And it gets us every year, and I watch it happen, right? Being in community with so many different beloveds, but I watch this kind of ramp up, and it starts in October. And stuff just starts ramping up. Like circumstances go a little more wacky. Emotional stuff gets a little bit more intense and full. And it's always in very unexpected ways. Like some of it's very expected, right? Like grief is a thing in the holiday seasons. And if you've lost beloveds, the holidays can be hard, right? We know that. And I expect that. But then there's all this other stuff. People's homes burn down. Babies in the hospital with RSV. Friends falling down and breaking their legs. Like there's always, and I haven't quantified it, but I guarantee you it gets more ramped up this time of year. And I was sitting with that general idea, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. What I also know about this time of year is there's a forced relaxing. And I think that's also what's hard, right? It's like we get time off work, the kids get time off school, things tend to slow down, not as many things are open, things close for the holidays. And I thought, that's part of the hard too, right? There is this built-in opportunity to sit with ourselves. There's this built-in opportunity to pause and slow down, but we don't actually like it. We don't like it. We don't actually like that invitation so much. And that's part of the hard, because there's stuff waiting for us, right? Whatever has been put on the shelf and kept in the dark of our unconscious, kept outside of conversations, whatever needed to be attended to, like the attendant candle, it sort of waits for these long nights. Waits for our attention. It waits to be attended to. And which then led me to the thought of around this season for me, part of its beautiful invitation is surrender. Allowing, right? Less pushing, less activity, less figuring it out, less production. And then I sat with, we don't like that either. We don't like allowing, we don't like surrendering. I would say of all the spiritual muscles that we have to develop, most of us have a lot of developing work to do around surrender. And this season, I could nickname it the surrender season, right? But even the story of the candles and the oil in the temple during Hanukkah, even that story is actually a story of surrender. It was like the folks were like, I don't know, the temple's a mess. It needs to be rebuilt. We don't have enough oil. Okay. They had to surrender to that reality in order to even decide to light the oil. Because the alternative Hanukkah story could be like, we're going to find the oil, and they may have never maybe lit it. But instead they surrendered and allowed the reality of what isness. And then in that surrendering, made space for miracle. Which also leads me to the Hopi tradition at solstice, which is probably one of my favorite, which is true of many of the regional Pueblo traditions during this time of year. There's the Kachinas, or in the Hopi, it's the Katasam. But the idea is that during winter solstice, they come down from the San Francisco mountains to join the people for the re-welcoming of the return of the sun. But what's really, really what I love about the Hopi tradition is it's the Soyal ceremony that happens, and it begins on solstice, begins on the longest night of the year. And that is when the angelic messengers come to be with the people for 16 days, right? It begins on the longest night of the year, but the process is 16 days long. And they are visited with messages, with teachings, with gifts and food, all from the spirit realm. The folks who come down to help the people make way to what's coming next. And my favorite part of that is it takes 16 days. It's not a one night, like we're going to do a burning bowl on New Year's Eve, and I'm really excited, and I think it's fabulous that we're doing a burning bowl. But in our very Americanized version of spirituality, we're going to burn a thing and be done. Right? Stuff is convenient. Burning it. Done. And it doesn't work that way, right? Because how many of you have been to a burning bowl before? Or done some sort of ritual like that? Or releasing something? And you mean it in the moment, right? You mean it. I'm releasing it. Gone. I'm writing this down. I'm just telling. And then you're going to get it back. You're like, wait a minute. Next day, still here. I took it back. It's like when we talk about planting seeds in the garden and then digging back up, see how they're doing. This is the societal habit, right, of the lack of practice we have with actually allowing and surrendering to a process, to a letting go that may take more than burning something in a bowl. That may be a beginning, might even be a step along the way, right? Even identifying what it is that needs to get burned. But to give ourselves permission, winter is a season. To give ourselves permission to receive the gifts and the messages and the good and the nourishment that Spirit has for us during this time. Imagine if you and I decide, I'm going to take 16 days beginning this solstice. I'm going to take 16 whole days and intentionally create the conditions to receive what Spirit has for me. Many of us are already kind of starting to get into the ramp up for the new year. I'm already starting to hear little murmurings. Well, you know what I'm going to do next year? You know, January 1st, and I'm like, yo, we haven't even had the longest night yet. Why are we in January? And the real gift of this season, the real gift of these holidays is so that we pause. We pause and take notice. Take notice of the miracles. Take notice of the messages and the gifts that Spirit is infinitely giving. But it requires us to surrender. It requires us to surrender into allowing, to surrender into receiving, which means an openness, which means a listening. For those of you who have been with me since the beginning of this Season of Light series, which began at the end of November, I've been inviting you to create conditions, right? I've been inviting you to find some actual ways to begin to slow, to begin to quiet, to begin to still. So I invite you right now, for those of you who've been participating in that practice, to take a moment and ponder what you've received so far in your practice. Have you begun to get quiet enough to hear? We often talk in these rooms about that still small voice. And in the slowing, in the quieting, that still small voice becomes possible to hear. But again, that's a practice of receiving. That's a practice of allowing Spirit to guide, to speak to you, which I believe is one of the great gifts of this season. The greatest gift maybe we can receive this season. And in the stilling of ourselves, we may begin to discover, and maybe you are already beginning to discover, that there are some messages there in your body. There are some sensations, actual sensations and feelings as you still your activity and still your motion that have some information for you. And these messages, like the Karasam for the Hopi and the Kachinas for the other Pueblos, these messages are arriving for you to begin to get the information you need, to get the wisdom that you may need to make some new choices, make some new decisions. Because if you and I are already in January and we didn't bother to get the gifts, we didn't bother to get the information that Spirit's been like, hello, here you go, I'm giving you so much. But we actually didn't allow ourselves to receive all of those gifts, those messages, that information, that wisdom. What do you think we're going to be up to in January? Going to do all the things, I'm going to make all the same mistakes and create the same harm and messes I did last year. Except you and I have committed in this community to transformation, to change. And it always starts here. There is no collective change without individual change. Not possible. And the gift of this season, maybe the root of all gift giving ever, begins with the messages, begins with the visitation of Spirit. We have to be willing to receive it. We have to actually create the conditions to receive it, because we are so far, 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 far away from these traditions, from the actual purpose of these traditions, that many of us don't know how anymore. I remember I was in a class some years ago and we were talking about, and my answer often when people come to me and like, I don't know what to do about blah, and I don't know what to do, and I'm like, listen to your wisdom. That's pretty much always my answer. If you've ever come to me, you know that that's what I'm going to say. Listen to your wisdom. And I remember someone said to me, and I'd probably said that to them 12 times throughout this class. And they finally pulled me aside and they were like, I don't know what you mean when you say that. And I was like, oh, yes. You're absolutely right. We suck at it. It isn't that it's not the training we get in this life anymore. We don't get training to listen to your wisdom. We don't get very many external invitations to learn how to surrender and allow, to learn how to get quiet and still enough to hear. And so what I invite you to do is meet yourself where you are right now. And trust that even if you don't know what I mean, when I say listen to that still small voice, listen to your wisdom, get the gifts that Spirit is trying to give you right now through feeling and hearing and meditation and whatever ways that may come to you. If you're not sure what that means or you haven't had a lot of experience with it, fabulous. Begin. Begin. This is the invitation. This is the gift that Spirit is asking you to open right now. This is the oil that is going to last far beyond what you believe is possible as you begin to open yourself to that wisdom that is within you. And it simply begins with getting quiet enough and still enough. sitting in the dark and trusting that your entirety is held, loved, and welcome. And that even in your entirety, the places that you would like to exclude in yourself, even those parts are welcome. Even those parts have information, have messages and wisdom for you. And I know that there are days when I am headed to my quiet, or I'm headed to my yoga mat, and I have just it's like a foreboding. And I got to pace it out, ooh, I do not want to sit with this today. Wow, I don't want to hang out with myself right now. I don't know exactly what's waiting for me over there in that quiet, but I know something is. And sometimes I got to pump myself up. I can do it. I know there's a lot of grief just right under the surface. And I know when I go sit on my yoga mat, it's going to be a boohoo. And then I go sit on my yoga mat and boohoo. So whatever you need to create the conditions, whatever you need to allow to be in yourself, the night has got you. There is nothing, zero zippola, that love cannot hold. I heard a definition of love recently that I'm in love with, which is spaciousness. Love is spaciousness. Are you giving yourself the space to be? Can you give those pieces that you would rather keep hidden space to be? Because love, as the night, as the light, as the whatever, has got you. And whatever stories we tell about, not that, not that, not that, not that, are untrue stories. And it's actually in the sitting still and the getting quiet that we can begin to untangle ourselves from the stories. And then begin to get the gift of the wisdom, get the gift of spirit, get the gift of the knowing that's trying to reveal itself to you. How loving is that? Right? How gracious is it to just have to be? There's nothing to do but allow. There's nothing to do but give space to whatever waits for you on your mat, to whatever waits for you in the quiet, in the stillness. Is that baby William? Hi, baby William. There is nothing that cannot be held or included. And I was in a class last week, and the leader of the class said, just go get yourself. The process of being whole, of experiencing your wholeness, means you got to just go get yourself. Whatever self you will like to leave out and not include, just go get yourself. I love that idea. Sometimes I feel like we treat ourselves as, okay, I don't know how many parents are in the room or grandparents, and you can answer honestly because I've done it. How many of you have had that experience where you're at the store and you've got your kids with you, and then you turn around and you realize you have lost your child? Or you're driving to the next thing, trying to get to the thing on time, and you realize you forgot to pick up your child? You've done it. I know you have, because I've done it more than once, which means I am not alone. But that's how we do ourselves, except we leave ourselves out. We leave aspects like, oh, it's not a thing. You're not here. I'm just going to keep driving. I'm not actually going to go get you. Could you imagine, as a parent, like when you have the moment, like, I forgot my child, and then decide, nah, I'm not going to go get him. Whatever, I'm already halfway there. But we do it to ourselves all the time. We do it to ourselves all the time. Just leave ourselves by the side of the road. She's too sensitive. He's too angry. You're too much. Just start chopping off little parts of ourselves and leaving them on the side of the road. And yet the night says, I got you, all of you. You don't even have to worry about running and hiding because you're already here, and I got you. This solstice, I invite you to be held this long night, to surrender into the arms that are ever holding you, to stop working so hard, to let go, surrender into this greater love that is so big and so spacious that even when you are trying to fight it, it's got you. That is the miracle of this season. And I'm going to ask you, over these 16 days beginning on solstice evening, what seeds may begin to form as a consequence of this soil season? Because I want you to stop getting ahead of yourselves. For all of you who have begun pre-planning your 2023 plans and your goals and whatever, I want you to stop it. And I want you to move into this next couple of weeks, which means you're going into January. Are everybody with me? To move into this next couple of weeks, allowing the gifts to give themselves to you. And just beginning to notice whether or not some seeds might be forming, some seeds of possibility that might slowly start to bring themselves into awareness as you receive, because you're quiet enough and still enough and willing enough to be open to receive. I know that seems like odd homework. I see some of you looking at me a little sideways. But just give yourselves 2 weeks. Quiet, still, and willing. That's the homework. All right, I see some of the nodding now. I think we've received. And beloveds online, I hope you are also receiving. But as you let this sink in, join me in prayer. As you and I begin to grow our understanding of this Holy Blessed One, that it is the night. It is that space that can contain it all, that can hold it all, that makes room and includes and welcomes it all. Every single little atom and morsel and piece and experience inside that spacious, holy, blessed one. And because I know that to be the truth of what God is, of what the divine is, of what this spacious love is, I know that you and I can relax into it, can allow it to hold me and you, can allow it to give itself to me, to you, through that still small voice, that feeling, that impulse, that instinct. And I know that as you and I continue to still even more, and quiet even more, and rest even more, you and I are creating the conditions to receive the divine's greatest gift. A life of wisdom, a life that is shaped by peace and knowing and grace and faith, that only comes into manifest form because it has first been received in my being, in your being, so that it could then be birthed into form. How good it is to be a place for God to give itself through. How good it is. So I just let it be. I let it be in all of its slow and mysterious ways. Join me in knowing this truth by saying amen, and so it is. And one of my other favorite parts of the Hopi tradition of the Soyal ceremony is that the messengers come in hundreds of forms. Through clouds, through minerals, through animals, and the wisdom can come to us in all of these different ways, which is a perfect knowing for the song that our beloveds Jesse and Clarissa are going to share with us now.
Thank you, Amani. I'm Clarissa Crow, and this is Jessie Schwartzentruber. And yes, that sacred pause that Amani just spoke to so beautifully, that stillness and that quiet of winter is just a wonderful time to open to those messages from the spirit realm. It could be angels, the spirit guides and teachers, the ancestors, or just spirit itself speaking to us. So this song we're going to sing speaks to that, how just being present to our surroundings, everything has a voice if we just listen. So this is an adaptation of a song by Sweet Honey in the Rock, which I just happenstance came across a poem the other day and realized where these lyrics actually came from. There was a poet, a West African poet named Birigo Diop. I'm probably totally pronouncing that wrong, but he was born in 1906 and is really well known for his poetry and for bringing African folktales into popularity. And I realized that is where they got the lyrics for this song from. So you just have to imagine that, like, there's a Yule log burning in a fire pit and we're all just like sitting around the fire together with a nice little winter breeze. Okay, to experience this song. Bum bum ba dee da dum, bum bum ba dee da dum, bum bum ba dee da dum, bum bum ba dee da dum. Listen more often to things than their being. Listen more often to things than their being. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Those who have died have never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass.
They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things and their being. Listen more often to things and their being. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in the home. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things and their being. Listen more often to things and their being. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. I love that song, and it was super fun. I got to hang out with Maeve and watch her mom sing. Pretty awesome. Oh, so this is the time in our gathering where I am going to ask you to consider giving. And there are 3 ways to give. You can text to give, 505-847-8431. Click to give on our website, abqcsl.org, or pick to give by using the QR code. And one of the things that I'm really excited to invite you to give to right now is our redesign process that is slowly underway. And I'm really excited to share with you some changes that are going to be coming soon. We know that Friday, this last Friday was Art of Prayer and Practice's last Friday. So our Friday night gathering is going away. And beginning January 8th, our live stream, for my beloveds who are still with us online, our live stream will end. So that means the final live stream of this gathering will be January 1st. But what that does not mean is the video content and the podcast content is going away. It will mean that it will all continue to live online. So for those of you in the room who can't see the screen like the beloveds at home, you can turn if you'd like. And this information will be going out to you by newsletter. We'll also live on our YouTube page in this week's video and probably other places. But it will remind you of all the ways you can get a hold of our weekly inspirational content, which is on Facebook, on YouTube, on our podcast, and on our website. And that will continue to be available every week, and it will likely, as we begin to pull resources out of some things, it gives us the possibility of putting them into other things, like our redesign process, which is going whole hog in January with a small, very, very committed team of volunteers and staff and council members who are going to help us do that. So just stay connected to our website, stay connected to our newsletter, and thank you so much for all you contribute. You want to close us out, Jailyn?
Thank you, Reverend Amani. Just a few announcements. Please visit us at abqcsl.org for any other information you may need. This is our website. You can go to the About Us page and find a practitioner to pray with you, or if you are here in person, you can fill out a prayer request right outside the sanctuary door, and we will pray for you all week. Save the dates. We're all right. I cannot believe Christmas is 1 week from today. So please join us on Christmas Eve. You have a choice of 2 services at 4 p.m. and at 6 p.m. right here. They will be interfaith services with us, UUA, and the Menorah Muslim Group. We are having 2 services in between. We'll be having a fire pit and some hot cocoa and caroling outside. So that sounds like a great deal of fun. And there's also Zoom available for those services. And if you would check our newsletter, which you can also, either you're getting it in your mailbox, your email box, or you can go to the website as well for any updated information. There will be no service on Sunday, December 25th, Christmas Day, but also please join us at 5:30 for a burning bowl service. Boy, I'm having a minute with that ceremony here at 5:30, December 31st, Saturday, December 31st, and details are in our newsletter. Please turn to the screen at this time and join in today's affirmation and our closing song. The light that is in me recognizes and honors the light that is in you.
I'm living in love. I'm living in peace. I'm living my life for what I believe. Through joys and through tears, in this world I walk. God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We're living in love. We're living in peace. United we stand as one family. We honor our truth as together we walk. God's grace moves through me and it moves through us all. We are living in grace. 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 Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful week. We love you.